Hey everyone! Aren't human hearts just a maze? Today, let's dive into a quirky exploration. If handed one final chance to be whimsical, what would your choice be? Brace yourselves as we're about to delve into some of the most bittersweet, hilariously tragic Last Supper requests ever made. This isn't just a taste test, it's a profound ponder on the essence of humanity. Ready to unravel the mystery? Let's get started! The genesis of the last meal. Here's a brain teaser for you. Do you know when the tradition of the last meal started? Tracing back to the days of yore, it was believed that offering the condemned their final meal would soothe their souls for the serene journey across the river, preventing any spiteful hauntings. In ancient Greece, it served as a ferry ticket across the river Styx. In America, however, this tradition became widespread with the adoption of the electric chair in 1924. Ice cream soliloquy. Let's kick things off with a tale that's hard to swallow. Timothy McVeigh, the villain of the Oklahoma City bombing. Infamous anti-government domestic terror attack on April 19, 1995, in Oklahoma City, USA. In collaboration with Terry Nichols, they unleashed devastation during rush hour with an explosives-laden rental truck, targeting the Alfred P. Imura Federal Building. The explosion obliterated the building, claiming 168 lives and leaving over 800 injured, marking it the deadliest domestic terror attack in U.S. history at that time. Fleeing the scene, McVeigh was nabbed for speeding and illegal firearms possession by Oklahoma State Police just an hour and a half later. His final request? 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream. Perhaps, in his windowless cell, it was his farewell to the life he knew, carrying whispers we'll never fathom. An olive branch from the grave. Next up, Victor Feger's saga. Just a drifter who, in 1960 in Dubuque, Iowa, kidnapped and murdered 34-year-old physician Edward Bartles. Feger lured Bartles under pretense to his apartment, where he kidnapped him. Days later, Feger was caught in Alabama attempting to sell Bartles' car. Randomly picking a young doctor with a family from the Yellow Pages, Feger was eventually sentenced to death on March 15, 1963, becoming the last federal inmate to be executed before Timothy McVeigh, and the last in Iowa. His death row pick? A single olive with a pit, hoping an olive tree, a symbol of peace, would sprout from his grave. A poetic wish, possibly his final bid for peace in the very last moment. Voodoo ritual and a handful of dirt. On March 7, 1983, James Edward Smith committed robbery and murder in Houston, leading to his death sentence. He chose to forego an appeal, although 4 Supreme Court justices doubted his mental capacity to make such a decision. Falling just 1 vote short for a full review, Smith's execution proceeded. His peculiar final vow was a handful of dirt, seemingly bizarre, yet underlain by his belief in reincarnation through a voodoo ritual. Alas, the prison couldn't fulfill this, substituting it with a cup of yogurt instead. Feasts amidst sin and punishment. Gary Carl Simmons' story reads like a tragedy. Engaged in a heinously brutal crime, 21-year-old Jeffrey Wolf and his girlfriend went to collect a debt in Mississippi, only to be attacked by Simmons and Milano. Milano shot Wolf dead, while Simmons in prison, raped Wolf's girlfriend, and dismembered Wolf's body, disposing of it. Eventually sentenced to death, this former grocery store butcher treated himself to a staggering 29,000-calorie last meal featuring pizzas, Doritos, McDonald's fries, and more, a testament to extreme indulgence. Yet, the irony lingered as this feast remained mostly untouched. Extravagant farewells and irony. In June 1998, Lawrence Russell Brewer and accomplices kidnapped a 49-year-old disabled black man in Jasper County, Texas, brutally dragging him to death behind a pickup truck. This horrifying crime revealed their deep-seated racism and extremism. Brewer's extravagant last meal request included chicken fried steaks, a triple patty beef burger, and more, serving as classics in a farewell banquet and echoing his longing for life. Yet, in a twist of irony or protest, he declined any food upon its arrival. The simple supper of a vengeance seeker. Velma Barfield, addicted to prescription drugs, systematically poisoned friends and family for money. Her victims included 2 husbands, her mother, an employer, and a relative. Despite her lawyer's insanity defense, she was sentenced to death, becoming the first woman executed after the reinstatement of capital punishment in 1976. Her modest last meal? A bag of cheese puffs and a can of Coke, an ordinary choice with an extraordinary backstory. A bittersweet farewell in candy. 20-year-old Charles Marino and 15-year-old Kenneth Fleming were brutally attacked by 17-year-old Mitchell at a park near Houston over a marijuana deal gone wrong. Mitchell's drive-by shooting spree ended with 2 deaths, including an 18-year-old over a necklace refusal. Despite his young age, Mitchell's violent disregard for life was palpable. His childlike last meal? A bag of Sour Patch Kids, perhaps a longing for the innocence and carefreeness of youth. The challenge of a glutton. Peter J. Menial and accomplice, James Russell, attended a party at Paul Manor's, plotting a robbery under the guise of a drug buy. When Manor was about to snort cocaine, Menial struck him from behind with a beer mug, letting Russell continue the assault. Despite Manor's attempt to escape, they brutally attacked him until death ensued. Later apprehended in Chicago and after Russell testified against him for a lighter sentence, Menial dared to request the boldest last meal ever, a smorgasbord including 20 beef tacos, 2 double cheeseburgers, a spicy pizza, fried chicken, and multiple cakes, truly, a feast for a king in his final hours. The last act of kindness finally, let's talk about Philip Workman. Convicted of murdering a Memphis police officer during a 1981 Wendy's robbery in Tennessee, he faced his end on death row. Rather than a meal for himself, he wished to donate a large vegetarian pizza to Nashville's homeless. His request, though denied by the prison, inspired many to deliver love in the form of pizzas to the homeless. These stories perhaps give us a deeper insight into the last meal. It's more than about food preference, it's a glimpse into the souls at life's final station. Their choices, the tales hidden behind, or the wishes never fulfilled. After sifting through these peculiar final wishes, one wonders if we all harbor a quirky little indulgence. And you, given that chance, how would you orchestrate your Last Supper? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.